Hey, this is Mark Williams with Swine Life Barbecue. Today I have a 7-pound boneless ribeye loin. We're gonna get a good coarse rub on this and then get it over here on the Outlaw Patio smoker. We're shooting for that perfectly cooked hickory smoked prime rib that's gonna be great for the holidays. Let's get started. To get this recipe started, I'm gonna have to trim a little bit of fat off this ribeye. Now I love a ribeye because it does have good fat content. I wanna expose some of this meat, especially on the spinalis portion. That way we can get a good rub, build that bark, and just add that much more flavor to this prime rib. So you can see right here, you got a little bit of a fat cap right here with a little silver skin underneath. All we're gonna do is shave that off, expose all that spinalis. I'm gonna leave the tail on, just let that cook down and render and kind of protect a portion of that prime rib. So we'll just start shaving some of this off. I say just take your time. You don't want to go too deep right here because that's the best part of a prime rib. But this fat here is not going to render. That silver skin is going to keep us from building much flavor on the outside. Of course, rub don't stick to silver skin that well anyway. You can see right here the silver skin under that fat. You don't want that on a prime rib. You can see this grain right here is a lot deeper than that surface fat. I'm going to leave that in just because we really don't have a choice. Just take as much of that silver skin off close to it. Flip it over and check the back side. Got a little bit of silver skin where they removed it from the rib bones. Now it's time to get our rub made up, and we're gonna get this ribeye loin seasoned up and it goes on the pit. So this rub we're gonna make today is pretty simple and straightforward. We're just using all coarse ingredients, that way we get that good crust on the outside of it. So we started with a ½ a cup of coarse ground salt and a ½ cup of coarse ground pepper. I got a ¼ cup of minced dried garlic, a ¼ cup of minced onion dried. I got 1 tablespoon of some dried chopped rosemary, 1 tablespoon of dried thyme, and then 1 tablespoon of dried lemon peel. This is just gonna add a little bit of citrus and bring out a few more flavors. So we'll get this mixed up. Now that we got it mixed up, we're gonna get this rub in a shaker and it's time to put it on that ribeye loin. So because our rub's pretty coarse, I am gonna use olive oil as a little bit of binder just to help that rub stick. So we're just gonna drizzle a little bit over the top, get it rubbed in. It doesn't take much, you just want something to help that coarse rub stick to it. We'll season the bottom first. And we're gonna go heavy. You know, this is a big cut of meat. The only flavor we have is what we put on the outside. So it's time to build them flavors. Get it patted in. Of course, you can see all that texture. That's just flavor. Get the end piece. Now it's time to get the top. You can already smell that pepper, a little bit of that garlic, and believe it or not, you can smell that lemon. We're gonna let this ribeye loin sit on the cutting board for about an hour. That'll give us plenty of time to get this pit up to temp, and it's time to get it on and get to cooking. So for this recipe today, we're gonna be cooking on our Outlaw's patio smoker. We'll get the charcoal basket filled up with some Royal Oak all natural briquettes, get it placed in the firebox, and slide 2 tumbleweeds underneath. Once we get a good coal bed going, I'm gonna go ahead and add a split of some hickory wood. We'll get the vent set, that way it comes up to temp pretty quick, and once it starts coming up on about 275, I'm gonna check that exhaust vent back. That way it'll settle in right at 300 degrees and we'll have a great crust on this prime rib. So this Outlaws came right on up to 300. We're gonna go ahead and get this ribeye loin on. So I'm gonna go dead center of the cooking grate. I got the ribeye tail with that fat on it toward the fire. I'm gonna go ahead and get my probe in here. Definitely don't wanna overcook it. I'm gonna go dead center in the deepest part and get the lid shut. We're gonna check on this ribeye loin in about 45 minutes. Until then, we're gonna let the Outlaw do the work for us. So this ribeye loin's been on the pit for about 45 minutes. So we gotta take a peek and see. As you can tell, that rub's done in here. We're starting to build a good crust. It's already looking good. We're sitting at about 62 degrees internal, so we still got a good ways to go. While we're in here, we'll go ahead and add another split of hickory to the fire. Got a good bed of coals. Get that hickory nestled in there and let this baby keep on cooking. All right, so our ThermalWorks dot's telling us this prime rib's done. Let me hush this thing down. It's been about 2.5 hours total cooked. And that is a work of art right there. Get it set out here so y'all can see. That is a beautiful crust. You can see all that garlic and onion, of course that pepper. That is a beautiful prime rib. So we'll get the lid shut. Now it's the most important time of the cook. We're gonna get this inside and let it rest for about 30 minutes. While it's resting, we're gonna make a creamy mustard sauce just to add a little bit more flavor to this prime rib. I can't wait to try this. So while this prime rib's resting, we're gonna make a creamy mustard sauce. I'm gonna start off with 3 egg yolks, a ½ a cup of heavy whipping cream, a ½ a cup of sour cream, a tablespoon and a half of a stone ground mustard, 1 tablespoon of white wine vinegar, and then just a little more than a half a tablespoon of your horseradish. You can use more or less of this, however you'd like it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take a whisk and get this all incorporated before we get it in our saucepan. Get those egg yolks broke up. I'm gonna come back with the rub that we put on the outside of the prime rib. Just a little salt, pepper, garlic. And do this to taste. Now that we got it incorporated, I'm gonna pour this in our saucepan. It's on low to medium heat. You're just gonna keep stirring this. You're looking for that steam to come off this sauce. That'll let you know it's done. You're just wanting to heat everything up through and through, but not let it separate. So we'll just stir it, keep a close eye, and I'll bring you back when it's done. So you can tell this sauce is starting to steam. That's exactly what you're looking for. It's starting to get a little thicker. We're gonna let it go just a few more seconds. Keep giving it a good stir, and then we'll be ready to get out there and try this prime rib. We let this prime rib rest for about 30 minutes. Just as a quick recap, we start off with a 7-pound boneless rib loin. We trimmed it up, removed some of that fat and silver skin off the top of that loin, and then we made a good savory rub to go on top of it. Got it on the Outlaw patio and let it cook to about 123 degrees. It took about 2.5 hours, pulled it off, let it rest, and we made a great creamy mustard sauce and it'll go great with this prime rib. Now you can tell we got a great crust on the outside of it. I'm ready to slice into it and see what this prime rib's all about. So we're gonna go ahead and get it sliced up. I know some of these outer slices are gonna be a little bit more done. It's gonna get more rare as we get to the center. So let's see what we're working with. Of course, that knife's falling right through it. Dude, here's packed full of juice. And that is beautiful right there. Getting closer to the middle, you can tell we're getting a little bit more rare. That's the cuts I like. Get us one more good cut. We almost got a perfect medium rare through and through. That crust, though, that crust looks awesome on this thing. Even got a little smoke ring around the spinalis right here. May have outdone myself on this one. So I'm gonna have to take this one right out of the middle. That's a little bit more rare. Man, that's a perfect cook. Let's see what this is all about. Man, there's a reason we have these around the holidays. It's because it's so dang good. Got a good hickory smoke flavor. You can definitely pick it up. Got a good crust. I almost forgot we made sauce. Not that it needs it, but we're gonna have to give it a shot. Get just a little bit right here on top. That works. That works so well. Now don't tell the heart doctor, but I'm gonna have to get me a little piece of this old burnt end on this fat end we left on here on that tail. That might be fat, but that looks delicious. And it is. That is an excellent prime rib. That's a wrap for today at Swine Life. Y'all got to give this prime rib recipe a try this holiday season. If y'all got any questions, shoot us a message on Facebook or Instagram. And as always, like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see y'all next time.